Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to this channel is pretty much about the solar flash and the event and raising our frequency to enter the fifth dimension, which I believe we are going in waves at the moment. We are getting influxes of light from the sun, and I believe this will culminate into one mass event in which everything will change as we know it. And I believe this because I dreamed of this in 2019 and it wasn't a topic that I had looked into at all. I might have been looking at stuff in 2012, but I wasn't expecting anything in 2012. In 2019, I woke up from a dream in which my whole life completely did a backflip and went the other way, because I realized life was about getting ready for this moment that I believe is on the way. So looking at the solar flashes of past today and looking at the likelihood of solar flashes in the future, which we know are coming, I'd like to acknowledge the divine feminine and to acknowledge that many ancient cultures revered the sun with good reason because of its ability to communicate with us, to hold us in its love and light and life. Without it, we do not exist. And the divine feminine exists within the sun also. Ancient cultures, such as the Japanese, knew the sun as Amaterasu, and the Syrians knew the sun as Arina. So I feel important to know the sun on both levels of being masculine and feminine. So we are at the moment in solar cycle 25, and this is not a particularly eventful cycle as is predicted by science. We are expecting in the range of 95 to 130 sunspots, whereas usually we would be getting in the range of 140 to 220 sunspots in a normal, typical cycle. So we're not expecting a lot of activity. When we do get activity on the sun, we've got the sunspots which occur more towards the surface of the sun, which is 5,000 degrees. But when we get coronal mass ejections, they're the ones to look out for. They shoot out plasma from the sun, and if the Earth is in its path, we get the full brunt of that. And we have had that in the past, more towards the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and before we had so much technology. So if something like this comes at this time, we are expecting trillions of dollars worth of damage to communications, to satellites, to electrical equipment. We had a near miss in 2012. There was a coronal mass ejection shot out from the sun that we missed by about a week. So had we been in its path at that time, we would have got the brunt of that, but we had just passed it by a week. So all of that radiation shot straight out into space and we missed it. That was on July 19th, 2012. I'm just noting that when I've dreamed of the event, it was July 19th, 2019. So I find that date significant. It's also my granddad's birthday, so I remember that. So we missed that one in 2012. We have had other ones that have struck the planet, and one of the biggest ones, or known as the most significant, was the Carrington event, which was seen by Richard Carrington through his telescope that morning. He saw some sun activity, he saw some white flashes on the sun for about 5 minutes. 18 hours later, that hit the Earth and telegraph pylons were set on fire. Telegraph operators got electrical shocks, and they had telegraph equipment running with no power, so it was sourced completely from the sun's energy at that time. There was also auroral activity seen all over the Earth. Now, from ice core samples, that is known as the greatest event in the last 500 years. So science expects events twice per millennia from ice core samples. But from more recent records, they're using equipment since the 1950s. And science tells us that we are due for large events from the sun on Earth every 25 years. And we get smaller events every 3 years. So that was 1859. The next one that we know about, which recent studies say was as big, is 1921, May the 12th. This was called the New York Railroad Storm. This actually, an entire signal and switching system of New York Central Railroad was put out of action. That was followed by a fire in the control tower. Flames engulfed telephone switchboards, cable traffic, telephones and telegraphs were interfered with over most of Europe. Auroras were seen in the USA. Then on August 4th, 1972, there were a bunch of sea mines that started self-detonating off the North Vietnamese coast. The US troops had planted them there, and several started going off, and over the course of about a week, they went off. There were 4,000 sea mines that went off all up and down the Vietnamese coast. This was sparked by a solar event, and luckily it fell in between the Apollo 16 and Apollo 17 space mission. So had they had astronauts out in space at that time, they would have got hit. Our International Space Station actually travels within the magnetosphere, within the protective magnetic sphere of the planet. So the International Space Station is supposed to be fine. And then in 1989 in Quebec, there was a blackout. 9 million people were affected by a solar flash at that time. There was a coronal mass ejection that tripped circuit breakers, and auroras were seen as far south as Texas. A quote from the Scientific American: "All we know is based on previous events, our planet will almost definitely be hit relatively soon, probably within 100 years." So I started this channel after I had a dream of the event, and I hadn't been looking into anything like that, as I say, on the internet. And it really changed my life. My friends were probably a little bit worried about the way I started reacting, because I started reacting as soon as I woke up, because I was in absolute shock and disbelief about what I had seen. And what I saw was a huge wave coming in across the west coast, and it was moving very, very slowly, and it was about 10 kilometers up into the sky, and it was about to reach me, and I was aware that it was going to permeate absolutely everything on the planet. There was a man with me in that dream. I'm not sure who he was, but he was becoming bewildered. He had no idea what it was. I believe an event is going to come in. I believe it's going to be coming in as a solar flash. I have only put pieces of the puzzle together for myself since that dream, and part of that puzzle for myself has been connecting to the sun without trying to do so, just having an influx of light around March, April this year, and starting to understand the way in which the sun was placed as the Almighty by the ancients, and it was done so with good reason. I'm a little bit in awe at the moment, and realization at the way that our cultures have completely erased the reverence that we should be having towards the sun, because it is in the utmost space where our spirits reside. Without it, we cease to exist. It is really, for myself, the Almighty. I know that sounds a little bit cultish, but I do really, from a space of experience and receiving light waves earlier this year, I understand why the ancients revered the sun so much. There is so much energy. There is so much power coming from the sun. I really recommend connecting to the sun, and I know some who tune into this channel have found methods that work for yourself. Some include singing to the sun. I think that is gorgeous, Diani. And there's also a Taoist technique to expose your perineum to the sun and your anus. That's not one that I've tried, but I do like to tan my butt on occasion. I have a sun mural in my backyard. It's just of worth to consider talking to the sun, is all I'm saying at this point. We are getting pulses of light at the moment, and we have a chance to awaken with that light and to raise our frequency and our consciousness until what I believe will be a culmination of energy that will come forth in an event. And until I see otherwise, that is how I am going to view what happens. And those who tune in with this channel may resonate with that. It's not my desire to convince anybody or even to convince myself what will happen. None of us know what's going to happen. We really have no idea. But I live my life in preparation for this time, and it is about raising frequency. I had to give up a lot of crap after that dream, and I did the 180 within 6 days. I was going that way for over 20 years, and I had ignored messages from my spirit guide. I had been on a path of addiction and a path of meddling in darker energies as far as engaging myself with those of lower frequency, and I was often brought into a low space from that. So it's been a journey over the last year since that dream to really get myself onto the right path, and that is all in preparation for what is coming. I don't want to miss this train. I am not going to miss this boat or this ship or wherever we're going. I trust where we're going, and I really believe it's a matter to get ready internally and to get ready externally as well. That means clearing out all of the stuff in our outside world, in our homes. It means being a little bit ready with a bit of water, being a bit ready with some food, growing our own food. And it's not just about a solar flash, it's for myself about climate change also. It's about to hit the fan. It's about to hit the fan. I was at a friend's place, a new friend, the other night, and it's like, I don't think I'll be spending too much more time there. Complete climate change denier. Like, I don't know how anybody exists in that state at the moment. It is this summer, I feel like it's really going to hit the fan, and that's for us coming up December time. It is also about the New World Order. They won't win. That's not a possibility. The light is here. The light has won. But it's about when they're trying to push down on us, when they're trying to control us. Don't struggle, don't fight. Just be prepared and know that all is going to be well, and we're going to be completely propelled through this event or through the raising of frequency. It is all good as we go into the 5th dimension. So love and light. Thanks for tuning in, and wishing you well on your day or your evening. Okay, bye.